Thanksgiving is over. Black Friday is over. Is Santa Claus coming to town? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, December the 1st. My goodness gracious, Christmas is just 3 weeks away, and here we are celebrating, right? We had another up month in the markets that will never, ever go down again. And, of course, complacency rules the day. Lots of issues, lots of things going on, but hey, nothing matters. All is right with the world. And here we go. So as we come into December, typically the time that we get the Santa Claus rally. Now again, are we going to continue with this rally we've already had? I mean, it seems like since last December, Santa Claus has been here. The markets are up 30% from the bottoms. Hey, look, again, as we continue to say, the markets are what they are, and don't fight them, because if you are, you're fighting a losing battle. In the meantime, we've got all these little issues out there hanging above our heads, and, wondering what's going to be, the next big, debacle, and why, many are staying on the sidelines and, not investing, which, I talk to them all the time, and I go, you should be hedging and investing. What are you, nuts? Okay. In the meantime, so it looks to me that Black Friday was, rather bleak. Of course, considering that Black Friday, I think, started in July, I don't know, what we can really look at, okay, based on that, right? I mean, again, we know that there's no longer really the true Black Friday. It's almost similar to what markets are now, right? Markets used to not be open 24 hours a day. Markets used to trade, 9:30 to 4 o'clock. Some of the futures had different hours, but basically they were one session. Well, it's the same thing with Black Friday. Black Friday is, like an ongoing process, every day. And of course, tomorrow is Cyber Monday. But I think the overall numbers are not going to be very good for this Black Friday. I think, I happen to go out and shop around a little bit just to see what was going on. And I didn't see any big crowds. In fact, I was in Walmart, and I didn't have even wait in line, basically. So now, again, I'm not saying that it's going to destroy the markets. I'm just saying, okay, that, again, we continue to ignore everything. There is nothing right now that is going to stop or get in the way of these markets. And look, again, I'm not saying that they should, right? As you know, where we are, we're long, we're not changing. But in the meantime, I guess, the one thing we would look at first is, what will happen with this monster that the Fed has created? Now, again, when I say monster, I mean, again, we are strictly playing what we'll call in this case now, it's the Powell put. It was the Yellen, it was the Bernanke, but it's the Fed put. I mean, again, when you know that the Fed is probably going to take the same dumb road as Japan took in '89, okay, as China is in the middle of right now, and of course, we'll probably be in the same place with really no real true growth, okay? You cannot borrow your way out of debt. As much as the bozos out there think that you can do so, you cannot borrow your way out of debt. It does not work, okay? It becomes failure after failure after failure. In the meantime, with all the crying and whining, okay, from those who hate the rich, okay, and those who have actually made it in their companies, their ridiculous policies, okay, and the way that they do business is creating even more opportunities for the rich to get richer. It is allowing companies to continue to buy back their stock in record numbers. And again, I've asked this question many times. Why would I pay a dividend, even though the dividend comes out of the stock, right? But why would I pay a 3 to 4% dividend when I can borrow the money for less than that and pay the finance charge to the bank, take the same money out of the stock, but actually create more ownership, which has really been the key driver behind most of this rally, okay? And of course, that takes us to, the next step is, will the trade policy, okay, create destroy the dollar. Well, I don't know what you consider destroying the dollar. I think what most people mean when they talk about destroying the dollar is getting too strong. And of course, that creates a much bigger problem overall because, of course, with the rest of the globe just pounding their currencies down, we've heard President Trump call China the great currency manipulators. Everybody manipulates their currency. This is not a new game. This is the ridiculousness of the fiat currency system with nothing backing it, because basically you're just shuffling papers back and forth. And of course, we get the benefit of paying for all this crap that they get, that they are allowed, that the central banking system's allowed to get away with, and have done so since the 1600s in Europe, and how the United States, how America decided to let these jackasses come in here and create this monster here. But again, so the dollar should continue to get stronger is because of what we've seen. As much as the Fed tries to destroy and push the dollar down, it's kind of like one of those clowns. You hit the clown and it keeps bouncing back up. Well, every time they try to push hard to get the dollar to go lower so we can create our exports, the dollar bounces right back up. And again, negative rates in every major country except for the United States, okay, which is not a good sign, keeping their currencies in the toilet. Okay, which obviously will hurt travel to this country. It hurts our exports. Now, of course, it does not hurt our imports because we are buying at much cheaper rates. And when you're buying from China, so when these whiny stores continue to whine about the tariffs, oh my God, we're going to have to pay for them ourselves. No, we're going to pass the cost on. Of course they're going to pass the cost on because they're going to make more profit. Okay, this is no different than the oil wars of the 70s, okay, when I was actually pumping gas, all right, and they had to go on either odd and even license plates or alternate, whatever. You could only go once a week or whatever it was to get gas. And of course, I remember the first time gas got to 50 cents a dollar, and I remember when it got to $1. Okay, that was my pumping gas career back in the 70s. But in the meantime, okay, the destruction of the dollar is the overwhelming strength of the dollar, because again, when you have every major currency around the globe devaluing theirs, naturally the reserve currency, the US dollar, has to become stronger. And so, if you call that destruction, okay, I could never quite understand the issue behind all this, okay? Again, I'm not an economist and I don't even try to play one. I just watch the ignorance of the ones that do. And again, I don't know, I think that to be an economist, to be part of the Federal Reserve, to be one of these bozo central bankers, you have to have no common sense. I think that's the first requirement. You have to have not been on the street and had to fight for it. You just make ridiculous policies that in theory always work. So, we'll see what that is. Now, of course, we've got, the ongoing trade wars and the on again, off again. We're really close. Phase one's going to get done. Of course, well, I guess we're going to see a lot this week, right? With the new tariffs. I believe that's this week where we see if they get added on or not. And the question is, will they? And what way up into China? I mean, China is already in major trouble, okay? And in major meltdown. I mean, they were in trouble before the trade wars, okay? And have issues. So what's going to happen? And again, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. My guess is President Trump goes ahead with the tariffs. That's my guess, okay? My guess is this is not going to resolve soon because China doesn't want to resolve. They're going to continue to wait to see what happens with the impeachment, with the election, and of course with the addition of the great Michael Bloomberg. Okay, let's regulate how much sugar you can have, and let's do that. Let's stop and frisk. And now I'm going to apologize because I want to make sure I get the minority vote. Okay, obviously politics is a bunch of bull to begin with, right? I mean, again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I mean, right now I'm against the left. Okay, but again, as you know, or I've made it very clear, I am a libertarian. I'm down the middle. Okay, and I can't stand that what's going on here now. And of course, we'll see if one of the richest men in the world can actually buy the election. Okay. Now, again, to me, he's doing more harm and, of course, assuring the reelection of President Donald Trump. And, of course, I believe that anyway. I'm happy to hear that. I think that you have a president right now that is breaking down the wall of the crooks and the deep state in Washington, which is why there's so much after him, because all these phony deals that we've seen over the years are going to probably come out. And as I said last week, let's see when the warrants start to come out, and let's see all these guys start to run for lawyers, because I think there's going to be much bigger issues. I believe that either this year or at the beginning of next year, you're going to see some major issues coming out and some major storms. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. And of course, how about let's all go for the Warren wealth tax. I love the wealth tax, right? Let's have it so that people that make a lot of money, that employ a lot of people, that really try to that keep the country rolling. Let's make sure that they don't want to work so hard because they don't want to pay that tax. That graduated tax, as you make more money, you actually take home less of it. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? I mean, again, I don't know how anybody can want to say that would actually work, that we should actually restrict the amount of money that people can make. And if they make too much, they got to pay more. So let's not have innovation. Let's not have Steve Jobs in his garage, or Bill Gates, okay, or those guys that actually created these monster companies, okay, that are billions and trillion-dollar companies. Let's not have Jeff Bezos, okay, who has reestablished and redesigned the entire retail structure, which really only benefits who? You and me, okay, because of the competition that now brings down costs. But let's end that. Let's make sure that we all become socialists so that we don't have to worry about all this stuff. And we share the wealth. And they don't steal the money like Chavez or any of those others socialist leaders. Let's make sure that we get into that position, because God forbid we should want to have capitalism and have people actually try to strive to get to that next level and make as much money as you can. That would be what a criminal act that would be. Okay. And again, I tell you, it's interesting. I love the talk of how much money is on the sidelines for these markets. Again, to me, that's another bunch of bull. Okay. And it's so ridiculous because there's always money on the sidelines. Okay. So I heard the number last week. There's $3.5 trillion on the sidelines to come into these markets. Okay. Possible. But again, there's always money that will come into these markets. Don't we realize that money will always come in? And right now, all we've seen is buyers. Okay. So again, money on the sidelines is an old wives' tale. It's a bubby mice, whatever you want to call it. It's a crock, because when there's buyers, when there's something to buy, the buyers will show up. Okay. There's always money there. Yes, there's a few too many people that are still in cash, but there's plenty of people that are in the stock market that don't want to be there. Okay. So again, it washes itself out. That is I can't stand when I hear that. I've been doing this since 1980. Okay. And in 1980, there's money in the sidelines when the markets were going down. And when you needed the grains to rally, China is buying soybeans. Those were the words that you would hear on LaSalle Street all the time. Okay. China is going to buy soybeans. Okay. There's money on the side. It's a bunch of bull. Markets trade. It doesn't matter what the reasons are. Okay. So again, let's not get carried away. But I think the biggest telling factor of what could create, and again, we are not predicting, as we'll talk about in our market segment in a few minutes, but we're not predicting any major collapse. But I do think there's a couple of things that you should look about, and one of the things is, if we go back to the President Trump election, okay, the stock market has grown or created wealth of over $11 trillion since basically 3 years ago. $11 trillion have been created in the stock market wealth in 3 years. Okay. Now, in that same period of time, as we continue to make excuses for the earnings of these companies, the companies have produced about $70 billion. Okay. So you do the math and tell me if Wall Street's value is $11 trillion, which is how many hundreds of times 70 billion? Okay. To make that 11 trillion, to me, it makes you got to kind of say, could be an issue. Could be a problem. So again, $250 trillion in worldwide debt, a lot of phony artificial growth, a lot of stock buybacks, but no real growth. I don't know. It kind of makes you go, And I think that's something that we really need to, take a look at and consider. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. This is Todd Bubba Horwitz. And of course, we did a great webinar on Friday. If you'd like to get a copy of it on our micro and mini portfolios. There's no openings right now, but if you'd like to check out what we talked about, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, don't forget about our high school program at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, naturally, Todd Bubba Horwitz. Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, November. Again, I want to go back to November, December the 1st. Okay. And of course, last week, markets were higher again. Isn't that amazing? They continue to go higher, and we continue to stay along. Why? Because the markets continue to go higher. Again, I think those who think that they are smarter than the market and think they can outsmart and outsharp and outdeal the market should be put away. They need to go to a home somewhere, because again, you cannot beat the overall tape. Okay, you can beat it for 5 minutes, but you cannot beat the long-term direction. And for everybody who's been calling for the destruction of the markets since we were at 10,000, we're only at 28,000 right now. For those that started calling for it at 20,000, we're at 28,000. Okay, let's not try to predict the markets. Let's get with the trend. Let's get with the market, as Richard Dennis and John Henry and all of the greatest investors of our time, understood that there's nothing like playing the trend of the market, and when the trend changes, we'll change. So we remain long equities, and we'll continue to do so. Again, I don't see any reason to change. And of course, oil. Boy, did oil get slaughtered on Friday. Quiet day. But of course, you knew, and of course, I wrote to all my people, and I said, there's got to be news coming here. There's the news out. And of course, late in the day, what happened is, of course, the Saudi Aramco deal, OPEC, the crooks from OPEC were at work once again. Okay. And of course, Aramco, which is the big IPO, which they want to raise as much money for, so they want higher oil prices. And of course, sure enough, they talked about supplies. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So they crapped it out, and they just pounded it relentlessly. Okay. Now, again, we'll see how this runs out throughout this week, because it was certainly damaging. And of course, obviously we're long, which is it really didn't help me digest my Thanksgiving dinner very well. But again, it's all part of the game, right? Again, I don't worry about it, because again, I know that if it's going to be time to switch, we will turn back over. But don't be surprised to see some finagling going on from OPEC and Saudi Arabia this week to try to pop those prices and chirp them back up a little bit. But let's see what happens. Again, if we change, we change. As you know, I've made it very clear. I never liked being long oil to begin with. Okay, but again, I do not argue with the mechanical methods of what we do. And then, of course, we've got the gold markets, and of course, everybody wants to make the case that gold's going to the moon. And I've seen email after email, comment after comment, and the trolls are out telling me and all this stuff. And you've got some moronic investor betting on $4,000 gold by I believe that's 2021. Now, could it get there? Sure, it could get there. Listen, I don't ever say it can't get there. But wouldn't it be nice if it could get over 1,600 and then maybe 17? Maybe you could get back to the 2011 highs. Okay, maybe that would be work before it would get to 4,000. So why would somebody put together $1 million play, on buying options in gold, for 4,000, when you could probably buy just as cheap something at 2,000? Okay, but again, it's not for me to argue and listen to why. It's just that's to me is ridiculous. It's dumb. It's moronic. And any of you did it, and I don't care who it is. Okay, it's stupid. There's so many much better ways to have made that same trade and created it. Okay, for the same period, but not created at 4,000. It's just dumb. In the meantime, gold is going lower as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we've talked about it, we've looked at it, and we are short anyways, but the pattern, other than you had a little bit of a dead cat bounce on Friday, but we're still trending lower. And until we can break back up above probably 1,500 in February futures, you can consider that we're going to continue to go lower. Okay, it's really that simple. Again, when it changes, we've been short. Okay, we were long all the way up. We've been short since it's been coming down. And when it changes, we'll be happy to change. And I'll be happy to get long. But I write about it every day for Kitco, and the trolls are out every day yelling and screaming and crying, whining like little babies. But in the meantime, here we are. And again, to me, it looks like we're going lower. And again, until something changes, I will continue to write that gold is going lower. And we have the grain markets, which, damn, sad. it's a sad state of affairs what's going on in the grain markets. But they're really just telling you that there is no trade deal in sight. That's what they're really telling you. Now, soybeans have been just absolutely brutalized recently. From looking great, 3-4 weeks ago, they look just absolutely brutal, like they just want to break down. And if they don't hold 880 here, okay, I think they closed 883, 880, 875, they could get really nasty and really ugly. And again, we'll see. We're short them. So again, long term, I always like them. It's like I hate being short oil. Okay, excuse me, I hate being long oil. I really don't like being short the grains, but I am because again, that's what the model tells me to do. And of course, corn sparked up a little bit on Friday, but really, again, very similar to soybeans. It just it feels like it's got no bottom. Now they don't go down fast. They just, it's like they torture you, pulling out, one nail at a time, as they take them down. And again, my real concern here, especially for my farmer and producer friends, is that the banks will go into some forced liquidation, which would for me, it would be a good thing as a trader because it would put a bottom in. Okay, it would create a blow up bottom, it would create a panic, very much like the Tyson fires did for cattle. But that, again, I don't want to see that happen to my friends and the people that I help, manage their farms and help them hedge their stuff. So again, I don't want to see it, but again, that could be coming soon. Of course, wheat all of a sudden suddenly turned around and basically, funny enough, we're long wheat, short corn, short soybeans. Again, I think that's the right play for now because of course that's what the patterns are showing us. And the meat markets, the meats, hogs continue to get slaughtered. And again, you keep reading about and hearing about, China, they just lost 40% more of their, first of all, the gestation period of hogs is very quick, number one. Number two, this has been going on for 6-7 months. We've done nothing but go down. We had the initial spike up and hogs have just broken down. Now again, I would love to be long hogs here and I'd love to find a spot, but until we find one, I will remain short. Cattle, live cattle or what we call fat cattle, looks unbelievable. Looks like it's going to new highs. I'd expect to see 130 in February, which is the contract we're using now. I see no reason. Now, again, a pull back to 125, not a surprise. I'd love to see it. Okay? Love to be able to buy some more. Feeder cattle, unfortunately, I think we're going to be on the wrong side of this trade. But again, I don't argue with it. It had that nasty pullback last week, which actually created a short position. And basically this week we really recovered back. We were able to sell into a little bit of the rally, but basically recovered back. Now, again, I personally believe from my work that it's going higher. But again, I will not argue with the mechanical algorithms that I use when I'm trading mechanically, because again, I'm either going to do it right or I'm going to do it wrong. And I believe in doing it right and being automated, mechanical, not guessing it. But if I were to guess, our signal will change here sooner before it's a winner. I don't think this will be a winner, but again, I'm in it because, again, that's the right way to trade if you want to be a mechanical trader. There is no reason not to do it properly if you choose to trade correctly in these markets, okay? Bond markets, they continue chopping back and forth. You're seeing some chase in here. Now, again, the Fed meets in 2 weeks or next week, like 10 days, whatever it is. What are they going to do? I don't think they're going to do anything. Now, certainly by all rights, they could, but the markets are not expecting anything. The markets have kind of priced in everything, but I think the markets have actually overpriced in way too much stuff here, and I think that will lead to the disappointment. But again, Santa Claus could be showing up. We could see a major melt up from here. I mean, again, I don't expect it, but if we saw Dow 30,000 before the end of the year, I would not fall off my chair, because again, markets are going to remain thin. You've noticed how light and thin they are. You could get, some buyers in here. And of course, remember the reason the volume is so light and volatility is so low is because the sellers have walked away. Okay? They're letting you buy, but if you want to buy, you're going to pay to buy. So you're going to pay up to buy. If you're going to sell puts, which is what creates the VIX, you're going to sell down to get them. So that's what happens that's why you have no action, because there's really not a two-sided market. The market is just kind of straight grinding up with a couple little down days, here and there. But basically, they're just quickly, grinding and grinding higher. Okay, and I think that is also a much bigger problem. Okay, but again, we don't worry about what the potential problems are. We can only trade and invest in the market we have right in front of us, okay? Now remember, I want you to be very careful here, okay? You can trade any market But you must know where your exits are going to be if you're going to trade. If you're mechanically trading, your exits are told to you when they come. Okay. But what you can't do is you can't try to outsmart and outguess, because you have to remember one thing: the market is always right, no matter what you think. So yeah, is there a problem out there? There's a ton of problems out there. There's a million reasons to believe this market's going to collapse. But you know what the funny thing is? The one reason to believe it's going higher, because it is. So why try to fight it? This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. We're going to step out here for a break and come back with my commentary after the break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. So everybody, you know, we got, again, we did a great webinar on Friday, Black Friday. Now, there's no openings available today, but if you want to listen to it and be prepared, you certainly are welcome to come in and join us. Our futures program is just nailing it, okay? Making new highs in some of the minis and micros, and just really having a good time for those who are first trying to try these futures markets, you know, for the first time. So again, if you want to hear the recording, please email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, don't forget about our high school program. It's at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my commentary. Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. And of course, each and every week I give you a little bit of what I'm thinking and what's on my mind. And, you know, it's interesting. And you know, again, you know, I don't like to get too political, because, you know, too many trolls out there and too many dumb battles that I have to fight with idiots. But at the end of the day, you know, I have to ask you a question, and I want you to think of something, okay? If you look at all the highest tax states in the Union, New York, California, Connecticut, Illinois, okay, who are the internal governors, and what party runs those states? Okay. Oh, the left. Okay. Now, when we look at that and we weigh into that equation, okay, they are also the highest tax states. Okay. So again, I can't wait to get out of Illinois. I can't wait. Unfortunately, there's issues that keep me here, like taking care of my mother. But believe me, I can't wait to get out of this city. The real estate values are falling to the crapper, okay, like they are in New York, and like they are in California, and like they are everywhere else with this moronic high taxes. But I think the big key story here now, which is where I'm getting to, is Charles Schwab, that has been a staple in San Francisco, okay, is moving to Texas, okay? They are walking out of San Francisco, their home, okay? That's where they started, okay? And they're going to Texas. Why? Because of the ridiculous payment that the premium that you have to pay to be in one of these ridiculously controlled left states. San Francisco, the highest ratio of wealth disparity in the world, okay? More homeless in San Francisco, with the ridiculous taxes you pay in the state of California and the city of San Francisco, but yet they can't take care of the poor people, okay? Now, you have to explain to me, okay, how this is possible, that the states that are flourishing, Florida, Texas, okay, no state tax, very low, very easy cost of living, very easy, but yet we continue to fall for the sap crap of New York, California, Illinois, Connecticut, and any other, Baltimore, any other one of these ridiculously controlled states that want to cut your eyeballs out with taxes, okay? Property taxes, state taxes, sales tax. Tax. I mean, Illinois, I believe, is the second highest state in gasoline tax. Now you know why Charles Schwab and many other big companies will be leaving these ridiculously high tax states, because at the end of the day, it's not worth it. And the people that are controlling these states have to be doing something wrong. They could be, I can't accuse anybody, so I won't, but you can use your imagination to figure out what they're doing with the money. This has been Bubba's Bottom Line, and as always, I thank you so much for being a part of the show. We got Sunday Night Football, and we've been rolling. We had a good day on Thanksgiving, I believe. We, as they say in the business, blacked the card, okay? Which we had them all. And I think tonight you got a hell of a game. You got New England limping into Houston with half the team with the flu, okay? But I think that New England is a small favorite, is a nice play, and we're going to make a sizable play on New England, -3 to knock the snot out of a quarterback I like a lot and a team I like a lot, but I don't think they match up. I don't think they compete. We're taking the New England Patriots tonight. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday tomorrow. Go get them. We'll see you tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. Have a great weekend, everybody.